What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our Martial Arts Monday at the TOS at Karate Studio. Here we are going to talk about a tutorial which is 4 moves, 4 weapons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be teaching you 4 of the same moves with 4 completely different weapons. So stick around. Here goes. The 4 moves we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing an overhead strike, we're going to be doing a poke, we're going to be doing a side strike or a side slash, and we're going to do an uppercut. We're going to be using the bow staff, which is the most universal weapon in all of martial arts. We're going to be using the samurai sword, Nunchaku, and we're going to be using kama. So with all these weapons, there's going to be some slight differences, but above all, across the board, they'll be relatively similar. So I'm going to get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do an overhead strike. In a video before, I talked about 6 ways to master the bow staff, and I gave you 6 different moves to do. These moves I'm going to be doing are going to be in there, so if you want to check back at that video, there'll be a little thing up over here. So the first move we're going to do is we're going to overhead strike. As we start the overhead strike, we're going to put it right on top of our shoulder. There's going to be a pushing and pull action happening. So I'm going to have my hand, one palm up, left hand, one palm down. I'm going to go on my shoulder. The top of the hand's going to go towards my cheek. I'm going to push the top end forward and pull the other hand back, so it's protecting my elbow. So overhead strike is number 1. The second one is going to be poke. I'm going to wind it back as if I'm doing a punch. Again, a weapon is an extension of your body, so treat it as such. You're going to take your forearm. Your forearm is going to go against your chest, and we're going to poke it straight out in front of us. That's number 2. The third strike we're going to be doing is side strike. We can go left as well as right. So we're going to start from the poke, actually. I'm going to go from the poke, and I'm going to pull my front end back and put it towards my arm, and I'm going to be striking with the left hand. Same equivalent to like an inverted bottom fist, maybe a hook punch. So I'm going to be taking it from the poke, side strike there. You could also side strike the other direction with the front end of the bow. So that'll be number 3, which will be side strike. The fourth one is going to be an uppercut. I'm going to throw the uppercut again, also either from the poke or from the overhead. I'm going to focus on the back end of the bow. So again, a push and pull. I'm going to pull the top end towards me and push the other end up to make my uppercut. So I'm pushing and I'm pulling to make the uppercut. So we have overhead strike, we have poke, we have side strike, and also the other side, as well as uppercut. So that's going to be our bow strikes. Now the next weapon that we're going to be using is we're going to be using the samurai sword. With the samurai sword and with the kama and with the nunchaku, there's an option to go inverted, to flip it upside down. So as opposed to holding it forehand, we could also be holding it backhand. So with these moves, you can do the same exact moves, and you could even double time it to where you're doing forehand for some and you're doing backhand for others. So I'll show you how that can be interchangeable also. So overhead strike, as with the samurai sword, in order to get power, because each cut with a samurai sword was meant to be designed to kill. We're going to be taking the back end of the sword, the curved end, we're going to be putting it to our back, so that way I can maximize power. So again, I want to do my push and pull method, so I'm going to put the sword to my back, I'm going to be grabbing the opposite end, I'm going to be cutting straight down. Okay, so I'm coming from the back, coming straight down. With the poke, now there's many variations of a poke, so you can go single hand this way, but always protecting the inside of the wrist to avoid the artery cut. I'm bringing both hands, and I'm bringing it forward this way. So at the angle so you can see the blade, I'm coming in forward, always protecting the inside of the wrist from both sides. So again, just like bow, forearm against the chest, bringing it back, poking it all the way through. Single-handed, poking it all the way through this way. Single-handed, grabbing a hold, I could be poking in this way. Okay, so we have overhead, we have poke. Second one's going to be side strike. For the side strike, I'm going to start it on the bicep area. Again, pushing and pulling, holding at the bottom and towards the top near the tsuba. So I'm holding it on my bicep, cutting straight across. If I want to switch, I'm going to put it on the bicep on the other side. I'm going to cut across to the other side. Now if I want to go backhand, I'm holding it backhand. Same idea. Cut side strike this way, palm up, cut side strike across, or single-handed 1, single-handed across 2. The next one's going to be our uppercut. For our uppercut, we're going to start blade up. So I'm going to have the blade up this way, going down towards my leg. So as I come down towards my leg, I'm going to be cutting upward. And again, I could also do the same thing backhand, holding it backhand, coming up this way, cutting up this way, single-handedly, cutting up this way also. So we have from the back, overhead strike. From the side, side strike. From the other side, side strike. We have poke out this way, and then we have uppercut coming down, coming up. So we have samurai sword, 4 cuts. Okay, now our third weapon is going to be the kama. With these weapons, you could be doing either an overhead single, you could do overhead double. Now with a kama, the overhead could either be a slice, or the overhead could be considered a poke. So again, overhead strike, come straight over the top. I could do double, and I can come straight down this way. So from the back, right down to center as if it's a stab, or I can come all the way through for a slice. I can come off to the side and do a slice this way. I can also hold it backhand and come down to slice this way for the overhead. The next one's going to be the poke. Again, like I said, poke could be center, poke could be off to the side, and poke could be backhand this way. It could be pretty much anything you would simulate a punch to be. forehand, sideways. It's up to you. Okay, the next one is gonna be side strike. I'm gonna come across, almost like I'm folding for we call it an inside defense, inside block, or a hammer fist. I can have one by the ear, come across one, come across for the other, come across one, come across for the other for that slice. So those would be the side strikes. The last one's gonna be the uppercut. So uppercut, you could either be doing it kind of like inverted, but it's kind of a funky feeling. You kind of have to hold it a little awkward. So for the uppercut, I prefer to use the comma upside down. So as we do this one, I want to come straight up. So I'm cutting from the groin all the way up like a zipper. Okay, so for the comma, overhead strike, side strike forehand, side strike backhand. We have our poke, either sideways or forward. Then we have our uppercut, which is upside down, coming straight up to slice this way. So that'll be for the comma. And now, last but not least, the chucks. So the Nunchaku, what we're going to be doing, since it is a weapon that you have to make sure you fully harness and control it. If you don't harness and control it, it will sting you. So with this weapon, we're going to make sure that we are always going to be holding it towards the top. That's where I prefer to hold it. Sometimes people hold towards the bottom. Bruce Lee held at the bottom, but who's Bruce Lee anyway, right? So I'm going to take the back end, I'm going to come straight down with this. So I like to use this weapon, I like to follow through with it, because if I don't follow through with it and I go this way, it'll whack me in the elbow, and I want to try to avoid that. So I want to go over my shoulder, I'm going to come straight down for that overhead, I'm going to follow through. So I'm following all the way through, almost as if I'm winding up for an underhanded pitch, or if I'm winding up to bowl. So I'm going over my shoulder, coming straight down, following through, and then bringing it right back up. So that'll be the overhead strike. Now for the side strike, you could start in the exact same spot, or you could start it on the side of your arm, or you could even start it underneath your armpit. So we're going to start on our bicep this way, come straight across and follow through. And again, you have to control this weapon, so you must follow through when you use the nunchaku, or else you're going to get whacked in the head or whacked in the elbow. You're going to be icing yourself instead of training with yourself, and it's going to be no good. I could also start underneath my armpit. So I can start from the underneath, fling it across, and come back and catch it underneath the armpit. It's like a chicken wing as I catch it. So I'm catching up and underneath. Side strike 1, side strike 2 as I come across. So that's the side strike. The next one's going to be the poke. Now the poke with nunchuck, you're thinking, how can I poke it? It's a chained weapon. You could do a couple different versions of the poke. You could put the nunchucks together. You could be poking straight in this way using this end of the nunchucks, or you could use the back end. You could be poking backhand. Now there's another version of it which you could think of it like almost as if you're doing a jab. I would relate it very much to a jab. So I start with it underneath my armpit, and as I do this, I'm going to be shooting this forward. You want to think of it like you have a spoon of ice cream and you're going to flick it into somebody's mouth. Weirdest analogy ever, but that's really the only thing I can think of. Or you're fishing, we could put it that way. So underneath the armpit, holding on nice and tight, just like I'm fishing, I'm going to cast straight out, I'm going to catch it underneath. So I'm to the side, I'm going to catch, hit out, and come underneath. The last one's going to be the uppercut. Now with the uppercut, you're going to have to create a slight bit of an angle. So as I come up for the uppercut, I'm going to go over my cross shoulder like a sipa. So I'm going to be angling, I'm going to come across and come up. So you want to think of it just like you're doing a cross uppercut this way. So I'm coming underneath the armpit, I'm going to come up and across and come over. You can start on your side also and come up at an angle and come up across. So it's going to be creating a slight bit of an angle, a diagonal 45 degrees. On the arm, coming straight up for the uppercut, or underneath the armpit, coming up and over the shoulder, and I'm coming straight back. So we have overhead strike, side strike, poke, and we have uppercut. So those are our 4 different strikes we can do with the nunchucks. Thank you guys so much for watching this Martial Arts Monday tip. So that was 4 strikes, 4 weapons, 4 the same strikes with 4 completely different weapons. Basically, I wanted to show how versatile each of these weapons can be and how you can be with them. And everything that you do with your hands and with your legs, you can always translate and relate to a weapon. So you could be doing hammer fists, you could be doing bottom fists, elbow strikes, punches, uppercuts, kicks, anything like that could always be translated to be using a weapon. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please subscribe for more videos like this. We're going to be having videos come out every Monday, either tutorials or skits or stories by my father, great grandmaster of the old martial arts days with Chuck Norris. So I hope you guys subscribe. There's going to be some other videos off to the side over here. Let's see what we have here. We have how to use the little nunchuck wrist roll over here. We have a, what is that? Comma. We have got a comma roll over there. So if you guys get a chance, please check out these videos. They can help you out with some of the other training. It goes a little bit more in depth of how to use the weapons I showed today. And also, please subscribe to our channel. If you like the video, give it a like. Until next time, I'm Justin Ichikawa from the TOS Karate Studio. Thank you so much for watching.